Hi, this is my reflections video for this week. So I had actually finished this the other night and it was very late, so I just wrote down my thoughts. I will try not to read them word for word. Why is internet safety so important, and what is your role as an educator in teaching internet safety to your students? Describe how you can teach internet safety in your future classroom. Internet safety is so important because no matter what grade level I end up teaching, I will undoubtedly be teaching juveniles, and juveniles are notorious for not considering the consequences of their actions. The internet can be a fantastic resource, but it can also be a dangerous place. As an educator, it's part of my responsibility to teach students how to use modern technology, but it's also my responsibility to help them be knowledgeable about the dangers. Because these topics are so sensitive, I would feel most comfortable in teaching students about these things by using NetSmart's training courses or another program like it. And that way I can ensure that I don't slip up and say something that causes problems for a child or upsets a parent. What were your thoughts after exploring the NetSmart's website and completing the Teaching Digital Citizen training program? Do you feel the training program is relevant and useful for all educators? I enjoyed working through the modules. I liked that the videos were fairly brief and to the point, and that each segment was broken up with a learning assessment to check for understanding. Much of what was taught in these modules was common knowledge, at least for me. I've worked in law enforcement for over 8 years. 6 years as a dispatcher, and 2.5 years I've been registering sex offenders. So my mind tends to jump to worst case scenario anyway. I know that a lot of people are not like that, they don't want to be like that, but there's just something that when I hear people talk about certain situations and they just say it very casually, like if there's nothing to it, and I see absolute danger in what they're saying. So I think that this kind of training is a really good idea for educators, just to make them aware of what is out there. I especially liked the part which described how an educator should react should a child come to them and say that they've already been exposed to certain things online. I think it's important not to shame them. We were asked to review an article about this youth safety article and describe what useful information we took away from the article. So some of the points, there was only like 3 main points on this that I noticed that were kind of in line with the NetSmart's training. Now, those were cyberbullying. That seemed to be, it seemed to me, I didn't count, but it just seemed to me like that was a longer part than the others. And then it talked about sexual solicitation and the importance of privacy online, not to give all this information out. You know, it's interesting, having been in law enforcement, I realized that when you do things like, obviously we don't want our kids posting naked pictures of themselves, and we also discourage them from being mean to one another online. But the importance of privacy is something that I can't even get across to adults that I know. I'm like, do you really want to tell everybody that you're on vacation in the Bahamas? Because your house could very well get broken into and while you're gone. And I find that so strange, so odd that people want to give out every piece of information. I'm leaving my house, I'll be gone for 3 hours, and so they'll know exactly how much time they have to get in and get out. But then one of the parts that I really enjoyed too is the intergenerational gap and attitude toward the internet and internet safety. I think too often there's parents that are in denial about what can and does go on, or at least what their child is capable of. We've actually had adults come to the police station with naked pictures that somebody showed them of their child, and they're in denial that it's their child. Their teenager had sent naked pictures to somebody else, and that person's parent or somebody got a hold of it and sent it to the child's parent, and they were just completely, nope, that's not my child. She wouldn't do that. On the other hand, I think that there's too often kids that don't see danger because they're so adjusted to being online. It's not a big deal to be online, be offline. It was very fluid for them, whereas for an adult, oftentimes there's such a huge difference for them. Online and offline was not as fluid. It was just two separate worlds to them. And so that was very interesting to read that perspective. And overall, I think this was a really good module. I feel like this is really important information to get out there for people to know, not just educators. I think everybody should go through this. And that's all I have.